Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for One Piece anime episodes 840 and 841. Sorry that this is, I guess, a couple days late. Last week I knew I would have to take off certain videos, so I took off this since this isn't really a super high priority thing. I'm just doing it because I love One Piece and want to catch up. But I knew I had to take some videos off last week because of how busy I was with a ton of monthly videos that came out and wanting to start new seasonal anime, so I had kind of a lot to get into. And then this week, I was really busy catching up to those seasonal anime reviews this weekend, so I'd be all caught up by the time this week came around. And I also knew that I was going to be taking this week off from Magical Girl Raising Project in order to prepare myself for starting the next arc of that next week. So I was like, instead of just pushing myself to do this Sunday, I'll just do it Tuesday in place of the normal Magical Girl Raising Project this week. So this will be back on Sundays. This Sunday I'll have the next one up. And in addition to having them on Sundays, if I have some extra time here and there, I might throw out an extra one here and there just so we get caught up faster. So yeah, to give some general impressions before I get into reviewing each of them, 840 I thought was a good episode. I really enjoyed watching it, despite the fact that it was a total budget saver episode. You could totally tell where the last episode had all those really big transformation sequences and fight sequences and stuff that they had to be like, okay, we're pinching pennies on the budget for this one. And then 841 is one of the best episodes of this arc, I think, and this arc has had a lot of great episodes. Like, I loved everything about 841. I feel like 841 had some things that weren't necessarily, well, that I don't remember from the manga. They might have been there, but I don't remember them. But I feel like 841 had a lot of stuff like that. But despite that, it was just so fun to watch. And the animation wasn't super high quality, but it was super creative. They did so many creative things with the animation in 841. But before we get to that, and I gush over that, let's talk about 840, which was just kind of a normal-ish episode. I have seen, I will say, the new opening, what I guess 21 it is. I'm not going to talk about it until I get to that, until I get to it here in the... Just know that I like it. Just know that I like the new opening. I'm not going to talk about it in detail, though, until I get to it in these anime reviews, so that if anybody's, for some reason, watching along with the reviews, I don't spoil you ahead of time. And also because when we get to it, I can go in depth and pick apart some things and discuss it in general. But either way, just know that I really like it. And that I like it because it's basically no Straw Hats goofing around and basically all arc stuff. And even if that does get a little bit spoilery, even in series that I'm an anime-only watcher of, where I'm like, oh, that's a little bit spoilery, in hindsight, I always love arcs I always love openings, and the openings are the ones that I always remember the fondest, or the ones that have actual story stuff in them, where I can look and be like, oh my god, I remember that was so great, and seeing hints at that in the opening. So I think having arc stuff over having just Straw Hats goofing around, they're always the best openings, even the ones in the past that I look back on. Opening 13 with Marineford, opening 16 with Punk Hazard. Some of my favorite openings from the past were all arc-related ones. And I guess opening 5 was one that I really, really liked a lot too, and that was the opening for Water 7. It had a bunch of Water 7 stuff in it, yeah. So it got a little bit off topic there. Let's talk about 840. Yeah. Starting with the recap. The recap was good. It was short. And the basic story of the episode is that they are under siege, which I think is a really cool story to tell, and I liked it. We had all Big Mom's children out there menacingly standing around waiting for them to come out or for the castle to fall as Big Mom was pummeling it, and we had the group inside trying to figure out a way out of this. So that's just a really cool dynamic for telling a story, so it didn't really matter that the animation was on budget saver mode. But Beige explains how the castle is him, so if he dies, the castle's gone and they're gonna be screwed. Then, yeah, I just put in my notes where I was like, you can tell the animation's way down from last episode. They blew the budget on those transformation sequences. But Chiffon pleads with Big Mom, and it doesn't work out. And I really, really like Chiffon. I really care for the character a lot. And I felt like going into it, she has like one of those lame, goofy One Piece designs, so you wouldn't feel like she'd be a character that you like that much. But even continuing on into the future of the arc, I won't spoil anything, I really like Chiffon. Then Chopper stops Luffy from leaving, and Nami brings up that they have all accomplished their goals. Sanji saved his family like he wanted. They have gotten the poneglyph like they wanted. They've gotten Sanji back like they wanted. They've all achieved their individual goals or whatever. The only thing left for them now is to escape. Except the goal of killing Big Mom, but that was kind of Beige's thing anyway. So the only thing left to do is find a way to escape, not to find a way to fight. Then from there on, we have the heroic Beige moment, which was really good, where he's like, no, I'm going to stay up and I have a plan. I'm going to run away in my human form, keeping you all inside of me, and Caesar's going to carry me. So it was a really good moment for Beige. Judge then asks Sanji why he saved him and the rest of his family. And Sanji's answer was that his real father would be disappointed if he didn't, if he was so small as to give in to revenge, basically. So he gives Judge the same speech that Judge gave him as a kid, where he says, you know, don't tell anyone you're my father, get out of my face, basically. So Judge finally decides he and the Vinsmokes will protect them as they run. All that was good. Episode as a whole, I thought it was a good low-budget episode, and even the low-budget scenes where it was just this really goofy, cartoonish, one sequence when Chopper was transforming was like, that was when you could notice it. The animation was like, we need Chopper to transform. We got 4 frames to do it. So that was really funny. It kind of worked for a lot of the comedic stuff, and it was a little endearing in a way. It wasn't like they tried to do a bunch of battles and action-y stuff with a low budget. So I thought this was great. And who would have thought that Beige would be this cool? Beige was really good. There were some really cool story moments in this episode, like I went over. And then looking at the preview for the next episode, I really didn't remember a lot of what we were looking at happening. So I don't know how much of this is filler or how much actually happened in the manga for next episode. I'm not actually sure. I don't remember. It's been a while. But I didn't remember them. I thought that they got out of there. Beige was still in castle form when the Tamate Bako does what the Tamate Bako's doing. I thought they were still in Beige's castle form. I didn't know they went back out and fought and all that. So, yeah, I must be forgetting some things. Must be. Unless it is all in-canon filler, which seems like a lot to throw in canon filler. Like Luffy and Sanji fighting against Big Mom. I totally don't remember that at all in the manga. But either way, for 840, I'll give it 7 budget savers out of 10. Now we can talk about 841, though. Starting with 841, I will say the recap was a bit excessive. It was twice as long as it was in 840, and it was a little bit boring, but don't take that to heart, really, because I had just watched 840 directly before watching 841, so of course it was things I had just seen. I wasn't going to be too excited to see a recap, obviously. So take my thoughts on the recap with a grain of salt. And either way, 841, I really liked the animation. They didn't go... It was so different than normal One Piece animation. There were a few scenes here and there that had really good animation, but the basic thing they did was... I don't even know how to really explain it that well. The animation wasn't super detailed. It's not like they were packing in like some crazy 60 frames per second stuff. It was just really stylized, and I think that was really good. And I've seen it before from series that don't have big budgets, but they use this really stylized animation that works really well, and I loved the animation here. I felt like you could tell that it wasn't like super crazy big budget stuff, but at the same time the style it had was so good. And a lot of the fight sequences looked really badass the way they were. Another thing I liked were Big Mom is generally a big stupid character, but she had this really cool moment where she was provoking Luffy by using his own words to say, you said you were going to defeat me. Here's your chance. Do it. And bringing up his own words against him in a lot of ways. And I thought that was actually really good. And they reused a lot of animations with Luffy going into Gear 4 that was clearly reused from the first time he did it. And for a lot of the Vinsmoke stuff, there were some clearly reused animations. But again, I overlook that with how good a lot of the animations themselves were. I still love Vito idolizing the Germa. I think that's a good character trait. And this is where I started to forget about those reused animations and forget about the recap, because they did this thing from here and the rest of the episode that was amazing. They would do this thing where a character would launch an attack, they would have that like cut across the screen with the character's face, or they would have the cut with the three characters' faces from Big Mom's crew running up, and then it would fade into the three characters running toward them, and the animation wasn't super detailed or anything, but even though it wasn't super detailed, it was really, really cool looking because of that interesting style where it was just these panels cutting into other panels of animation, which I just thought was really, really cool. So I really loved the way this episode looked. I absolutely loved the episode. Oven versus Yonji looked really good. They used that style a lot. And I thought we need more of this in future episodes. This was just a really good style of animation. Not just the panel cutting stuff, but in general, the way they animated this episode, I'd love to see more of. And it looks like it wouldn't be as huge on the budget as, say, like Zoe's animation was really good for most of the arc. Stuff like that. Or even a lot of Whole Cake has had episodes that were really, really well animated. Perospero continues to be the constant MVP for Big Mom's crew. Throughout the arc, I feel like Perospero is just carrying Big Mom's crew. Another thing, though, Luffy is using his armament hockey fighting against Big Mom, and I was like, I wonder how that's going to pair off and everything, and it made me remember Cracker, and it's something that I said constantly in the manga, and so I need to say it here again in the anime. It is complete bullshit that Cracker is not back. Luffy went through hell barely defeating Cracker. He got into all these other fights, and now he's still perfectly fine to keep fighting. Cracker took basically one hit from Luffy, and he's still not back in the arc. Like, that's a load of crap that Cracker wasn't back in the arc. Yeah, screw that. Then we see an animation jump for when the Vinsmoke siblings used the black bug, which is really cool. I feel like I remember that from the manga, though. So see, I don't really remember what is or isn't anime only here. Then Dufeld is still after the Tamate Bako. We get the reveal that Stussy is in CP Aegis 0 when she hits him with the finger gun. And then she's going to take the box herself for the government, makes a deal with Morgan's. Hey, cover this up and I'll get you a little sneak peek of what's in the box. But Dufeld's body ends up pushing the box off. Judge attacks Big Mom. Big Mom breaks a spear. And then we had this crazy attack at the end from Big Mom. I love the way it looked when she's like lifting her hand into the mouth of Zeus and then coming down with the lightning strike. It was so good. And I think the attack, it was either called Lightning Bolt or Thunderbolt. Doesn't really matter what the exact name was, but it was a really cool attack. So episode as a whole, it was amazing. There are a few things you have to look over, like the reused animation, and you have to look over how Caesar Clown is flying at like -2 miles an hour. That is really contrived, and that takes away a lot from it. But you have to kind of overlook that to have the fun with this episode. The animation style was so great, and it was just fun. Mindless shonen fun. It was so chaotic and good. I loved it. And I loved how we had all these different characters all over the place just clashing against one another. No real big fights, no emotional moments, just some characters attacking each other. It was good, mindless shonen fun. It was really enjoyable to watch. And I think that there were some story parts here and there that were like you have to overlook, like the Caesar Clown stuff, but in general it was just so much fun, and I'm never going to like disrespect or downplay an episode of a show that goes out of its way to just be fun, and to just be fun to watch. So I loved it. I would give it 9 inches an hour flying speed by Caesar Clown out of 10. 9 out of 10. I loved this episode. I loved 841. I really enjoyed 840 as well. It wasn't as good. Just in general, it wasn't as good an episode, but it was still really fun and I enjoyed it. So 7 out of 10 for 840 and 9 out of 10 for 841. I loved these 2 episodes and I hope you loved them as well. I'll be back this Sunday with the next 2. So I hope you enjoyed it. Like if you did like the video, comment down there too. Tell me what you thought of these 2 episodes and what you thought of my thoughts on them. Subscribe for more. One Piece, both anime and manga, much more on the channel. The manga will be back this week, so I'm excited for that. At least I believe it's going to be back this week. So yeah, sub for any of that. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there, talk to you there, stuff for the channel and all that. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord about One Piece or any of the other series I cover here, or just anything in general, you can just ask and I'll give you a link. Simple as that. So that's it. Either way, thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.